Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all good? I hope so. Listen, did y'all watch the Christmas Everyday movie with Brandy? It came on like the last Saturday in November. It's a really cute Christmas movie. I think I've watched it like 3 times so far. But let's get into this recap. So, Francine, that's Brandy's character, they call her Fancy, she's at work. And her mom calls her to remind her about the contractor who would be stopping by to talk about the house. They need to do some updates because her mom, she's starting to lose her vision. Then one of her co-workers, Jermaine, who is a hoop child, walks in to see if Fancy had heard from Lila, who is the owner of the company. He needs Lila to do some approvals, but Lila told Fancy to do it. They go over those. Then while Fancy and Tia, while they're standing there, Jalen walks in. He introduces himself. They talk a bit. Then somebody comes in and says that somebody out in the main room needs some help. So they tell Jalen that they'll be back. But baby, they were gone for a good minute. So Jalen left and he just left a note saying that they can reschedule. Then Lila does a Zoom call with the ladies. But baby, Lila is too busy having fun in Africa with Boulay. Fancy, she already has a lot on her plate, and Lila, she just added some more. And her assistant doesn't see how she does it, like just doing everything for everybody. So Fancy makes it home, and she gets a call from Richard, her boyfriend, saying that he isn't going to be making it home because his boss is taking the team out. And since he's working hard to win the promotion, he needs to go to that dinner. She's disappointed, but she says she understands. And while ending the call, she thought she was in park, but she wasn't, and she made a mistake and bumped into the back of Jalen's truck. He jumps out like, oh, first you're going to leave me hanging at your office. Now you're out here damaging my truck. So her mama walks out to see what was going on. He going to tell the mama Fancy out here texting and driving. So they go ahead, they go in the house because the reason Miss E called Jalen over is because the faucet was leaking. The house has a lot of wear and tear because it was the husband's childhood home. So, over time the plumbing gets worn out, foundation starts to shift, things like that. They have wooden floors, so some of the floorboards have started popping up. So Jalen is there to make things easier for Miss E, for her to get around safely. Miss Evelyn wants to know how much would all this cost, honey, because that sounds like a lot. And he said he'll take care of the leaking faucet on the house and he'll get back with her with the rest. But she would only accept him taking care of the faucet for free if he agreed to join them for their annual tree trimming. And he agreed. He asked her what type of gentleman would he be if he turned down her home cooking. But Fancy is actually the cook in the family. So at dinner, Jalen starts to learn more about who Fancy is. She's like the glue for the family. She takes care of everybody. The middle sister, Dina, shares how Fancy was in the delivery room when she had her baby, that she designed her wedding dress and made the sisters' prom dresses. The baby sister, Belle, played by Brandy's daughter, Sarai, she said that the gowns were on couture level. So Jalen says, I can only imagine what you wore to prom, and she said that she didn't go to prom. Then her phone rings and it was her job. She took the call, and when she comes back, she apologizes and says if she could get rid of that phone, she would. And Jalen wanted to know, why can't you? He told her that she just have to learn how to set boundaries and be present. And she got a little attitude and let him know that she knows how to be present. Dina starts to pry and wanted to know more about Jalen, basically if he was single or dating. And he says that he has been divorced for over a year. Belle tells her to stop trying to be a matchmaker. And she let her know, girl, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be engaged right now. So Jalen wanted to know if he was the only single one at the table, and Fancy says yes because she has a boyfriend. So the fiance asks where was Richard, and Fancy said that he had a work event, to which Dina responded, surprise, surprise. Belle says, what does he do again? Child, the mama was like, who cares? We're just happy to have you here, Jalen. Baby, mama don't care nothing about Richard. She is liking Jalen for her baby. Then Belle tells them that her fiance picked the day for the wedding and that they had chosen to stick with their family tradition of getting married on Christmas Eve. They were all excited until she let them know she was talking about this Christmas Eve, not next Christmas Eve. And both of the sisters were looking at her like, girl, you do know that it takes at least a year to plan a wedding. So they start bantering like sisters do, and the mama, she gets up from the table because she can't take it. So she tells them to stop all that fussing, because the reason Belle decided to have the wedding so fast is because her and Belle talked, and the mom doesn't think she'll have her eyesight much longer, and she really feels like that's what the dad will want her to do. So dinner is over, and now the sisters are trying to convince Belle to wear her mom's wedding dress. But Belle says she has her own style. So she goes to try on the dress, and Dina wants to know what's up with Fancy and Jalen. And she's like, girl, nothing. with him sitting over there trying to tell me how to be present. And Dina feels like that's why they will work, because they wish Richard would prioritize their sister more. Fancy says that she is happy with Richard and she just wants her sisters to believe her. Belle comes out with this dress still in her hand because she ain't happy about it, but she does her little sister thing and baby talks Fancy into making her wedding dress, and of course Fancy agreed. So then Fancy goes downstairs to check in with her mom, and she mentions that she's making Belle's wedding dress, and the mom feels like Fancy is spoiling Belle just like the dad used to do, and Fancy feels like her father will want her to do that for her baby sister. The mama, she reminisces on how the dad liked to hear the girls sing, so Fancy took the time to invite her mom to church because she would be doing the solo, but the mom declined. She said that she wasn't too happy with God right now. Fancy tries to convince her mom by letting her know that God will understand. He'll understand that. So her mom asked her if she think God will help her understand why he took her husband. The next day at the office, Lila returns, but she let them know that she's retiring and she'll be handing over the role of creative director to either Fancy or Jermaine. So she challenged them to create a capsule collection inspired by Africa, and whoever design she likes best, that'll be the new creative director. And over at the house, Miss Evelyn makes it in from her walk, and Jalen was there, repairing the floorboards, and she notices that he's using cedar, and that brings back memories for her because she used to sculpt with cedar because it's an easier wood to work with. She gets a little emotional and heads to the kitchen, and Jalen, he could tell that she's got a little sad, but he tells her that she doesn't have to give up on her craft. But Miss Evelyn is starting to feel useless. So Jalen was finishing up. Fancy pulls up behind him and he jumps behind the car like, hey, don't hit my truck again. Then Richard pulls up. You can tell he's one of them old uppity ninjas, honey, as my grandma would say. He walks up, Jalen compliments his car. Fancy, she introduces them. Jalen introduces himself, extends his hand for a handshake, and Richard gives him a fist bump. Then says, so how long have you been getting dirty, constructing and building things? Jalen said a couple of years, but before that he was the VP of a global marketing company. And Jalen knew where Richard was trying to go with that conversation because Richard had already walked up looking his nose down on Jalen. So Jalen said he turned in his suits for work boots, and he hasn't been happier since. So Fancy and Richard head on into the house because they were supposed to be going out to eat. When they get in there, he asks her, why would she hire a contractor to fix the house if her mom is going blind? He was like, we could just put her in an assisted living facility and sell the house. Fancy was looking at him like he lost his mind because that's her father's house, and her father worked hard to keep that house in the family. So she asked him, where were they going for dinner? Because baby, what you talking about? I ain't trying to hear that. This man gonna say, we can go up the street to the Chinese restaurant. She said, that's what you call a dinner? That's what you call spending time with me? And of course he starts talking about having to catch the red eye to get to the next meeting for the senior VP position. Later on that night, Fancy hears a loud thump. She thought it was her mom. Maybe she had fallen or something, but it was a pipe that was in the kitchen that burst. Miss Evelyn called Jalen. Belle made it over to see what was going on, and they see all of the damage the burst pipe caused. Baby Belle started having a panic attack because she was worried about how can she have her wedding with the house looking like that. And Jalen jumped right in to calm her down, and then a piece of the ceiling was about to fall where Fancy was standing, but he jumped over and pulled her out of the way before it hit her, and baby the mama was loving every bit of it. So the next day, Fancy cooked breakfast for Jalen and his crew, and Jalen is putting in overtime to get the house complete by December 23rd. And that day is even more significant because this will be the first family milestone that they are celebrating since her father passed away, and that was his favorite time of year. Jalen says that Fancy has really stepped up for everybody, and she says, but that's usually what the oldest child does. And he was like, yeah, but who steps up for you? And she asked him what did he mean by that, and he brought up when she brushed past saying that she didn't go to her senior prom, and he felt like not going really bothered her, but she told him that he was looking too deep into it. So she leaves for work, and you can tell that Jalen is really seeing it for Fancy. Actually, they vibing with each other. So Jalen has a surprise for Miss Evelyn and takes her down to her studio where he's put in new lighting. He organized her area, and he even purchased a talking tape measure so she won't have to worry about trying to read a regular one. He also also gave her some words of encouragement from the man at the store who said, "It's not the vision in your eyes that creates the art, but the vision in your mind's eye that brings it all to life." He tells her that the water leak ruined the finial on the banister and they're going to need someone to make a new one. She's uncertain whether she can do it. He says he really believes that she can. So over at the office, Fancy is working on Belle's dress. Jermaine walks in and offers to make her a Jermaine exclusive. Of course, she says yes, which Dina finds very selfish and unappreciative, but Fancy is like, it's her wedding, so let her get the dress that she wants. Tia walks in and lets Fancy know that her mama just had an accident. So she rushes home and finds out that her mom had an accident while she was carving. And Fancy wanted to know why would she be doing that. And Jalen says that he modified her studio to make things easier. Fancy is frustrated and she tells her mom that she is just going to have to accept the fact that there are some things that she can't do anymore. And Miss E wanted to know why not. And she asked her why, because I'm a useless woman now. She told Fancy that woodworking it's not just what she does, it's a part of who she is. And it took someone outside of the family to understand what that means to her. Because you saying to her that she's just going to have to accept the fact that there's just some things she can't do anymore, that to her sounded like, well, just put me in the grave then. And that really bothered Miss Evelyn, so she rushed out of the room. And Fancy asked Jalen what was he thinking, because those tools are dangerous for someone with 20/20 vision, let alone someone who is losing their sight. She tells him that he's getting a little too comfortable. You're getting a little comfortable around here for all this work that you need to be doing. And he's told her that even though her mom is losing her sight, she still has all of her other faculties. She just needed something to keep her inspired. Later on, Fancy goes down to the studio where Jalen is doing a few touch-ups, and she didn't know that he had changed the space around so much, so she told him that it looked nice in there. He apologized for overstepping. She said it's all good because she hasn't seen her mother that happy in a long time, and he noticed what her mom needed before she did, and she's appreciative of that because look, my mama got her own life. He asked her if she had any plans. She said that she'd be baking pies for an organization her daddy started at their church, and he was like, do you ever have an off button? She said baking pies is relaxing, but he was talking about having fun. So he takes her down to an organization where he volunteers at. She was enjoying herself. Then her phone rings. Of course, it's work, but she didn't answer it. She said some guy she knows said that she needs to start setting boundaries and be present. So she goes around the marketplace shopping, and so did Jalen. He bought her a Christmas ornament. He said it reminded him of her because it was beautiful. They make it back to the house, sit down and chit chat. She asked him about his marriage. He said as an executive he was truly exhausted. He chose to walk away. His wife wasn't too happy about that. She was in love with the image of being a power couple. So when he left the corporate world, she left him. But that allowed him to learn that his love language was quality time. So he asked her again, why did she go to prom? She said basically it cost too much. But her dad being in the Air Force and her mom being a struggling artist, they just couldn't afford it. She said she acted like it didn't faze her, but it really did. So that's when she decided if money was ever the problem, she would be the solution, because she wouldn't want her sisters to go through what she went through. So she taught herself how to sew, worked in retail. That's where she met Lila, who saw something in her, and Lila asked Fancy to be her assistant, and that's how she worked her way up in fashion. She said that she always wanted to be a wedding dress designer. And to just hear the excitement and love for fashion design in her voice, Jayla could tell that's where her heart was. So he says, it sounds to me like that's what you should be doing. But she feels like now that she's older, it feels kind of silly to go back and chase a dream from her childhood. And I hate that she sees it that way, because even though the dream may have started when she was a child, that desire to design wedding dresses, it never left her. Just like with her mom, the carving, doing the woodwork, it never left her mom because it's in her. But he was like, why do something you don't find joy in? He lets her know that he's only known her for a short amount of time, but in that time, he's seen her do everything she said she was going to do. Everything that she put her mind to, she did it, no matter the load. And she did everything exceptionally well. The next day, her mom goes down to the studio to give the carving another chance. You see Fancy over there having dinner with Richard, who is on the phone, too busy to spend quality time with Fancy because he's trying to climb the corporate ladder. Over in the studio, everything is going well until Miss E accidentally hits her hand with the hammer and she just breaks down. She asks God, why has he taken everything from her? She says she was faithful and good. Why would he do that to her? And then you hear someone call her name, and it's her husband, Walt. She walks over to him and they talk about how they met, how he's never left her side. He says he's always there. He told her that she has to pick herself up and keep going. He said that he's been trying to reach her and Fancy. He's really been trying to tap into them. Walt sees that Fancy is still trying to take care of everybody else. He tells Miss E that she has a gift and God has given her more time. He's like, I may be gone, but you're still here because God gave you more time and he doesn't want you to waste it. When he tells her how nice her space looks, when she turns around to admire it and looks back, he's gone. Then we see Fancy and Richard again at another dinner, but Fancy's mind is somewhere else. He tells her not to worry about the creative director position because she has that in the bag. And when he gets promoted to senior VP, they'll be the ultimate power couple. Fancy says that she doesn't think she really wants the position because she wants to create from the heart. She wants her own bridal line. He brushes it off as, oh, you're just stressing, and goes back into the song and dance about them being a successful power couple. He didn't hear a word she said. Now it's the next day, and over at the house, Jalen asked her how did the presentation go, and she said that Lila will announce the winners tomorrow at the company Christmas party. The mom walks in and brings her some flowers that arrived earlier in the day for her and a from Richard. He apologized once again about not being able to make it back in time for the Christmas party, which is crazy because he sure didn't hesitate to catch the red eye to make it back in time for the company meeting. Miss E knows that her daughter doesn't like going to these events by herself, so she told Jalen to go with her. And Fancy says, I can't ask him to do that. Miss E said, you don't have to, I already did. I told you, baby. She don't care about the Richard. So they're going back and forth talking about, it's okay with me if it's okay with you. Miss E told them, y'all about to drive me to drink. I already asked them, y'all going to the party. That's it, that's all. Fancy tells Jalen that he might not have a lot of fun since it's a fashion work thing, and he told her hanging out with her is always fun. So they get ready for the Christmas party. He goes to pick her up. Miss E yells upstairs and says, Fancy, your date is here. And he was like, wait, it's not a date, it's a, and he's stuttering. And Miss E like, baby, you good? You're acting nervous, which he was. Fancy comes down. She looks beautiful. They head out, and Miss E told them they bet not come back early. So they make it to the Christmas party. Lila walks up with Boulay, her own little Winston. Lila thought Jalen was Richard, so Fancy had to correct her on it. Jalen and Fancy, they take pictures, they slow dance, and since everybody thinks that he's Richard, he assumed that her and Richard just started talking. But y'all, they've been together for 3 years, and he never made space for her. So Lila stops the party and announces Fancy as the new creative director. Fancy goes to the stage. She thanked Lila for everything, but she let them know that she decided to resign because along the way she's forgotten her worth and that her dreams are worth it too. She said a dear friend told her to bet on herself. So she passed the torch to Jermaine, who was ecstatic. They make it back to the house and she thanks Jalen for pushing her and encouraging her, and she feels like she can just be herself around him. Of course, he feels the same way and tries to step in for a kiss, but she says she couldn't do that because she's with Richard. Jalen was respectful and told her that he understood. Now it's the night of the engagement party. Her mom let her know that she is proud of her for stepping out and doing something that brings her joy and purpose. Fancy is scared, but she told her not to be because God got her. Miss E said that she's at peace now. Then Jalen walks in and tells Miss E that it's time for her big surprise. Fancy apologized to Jalen about last night, but he understood. Miss E thanked Jalen for helping her find her way back to art again. And then they revealed the finial that she carved. So the guys are hanging out on the porch and Richard walks up. They were not expecting to see him. So he goes in yelling, calling out for Fancy. And he's there to surprise her with some good news. She told him that she had some news, but of course he wanted to go first. So he tells her that he got the senior VP position. She's proud of him, of course. Then he proposes. She declined. He couldn't believe it. She didn't want to talk about all of that right then and there, but he felt like he deserved a reason why she was turning him down. She told him that she had poured a lot into him, and he was like, yeah, and I'm a better man for it. But it was when Fancy said, "But I'm not a better woman." I was like, "Yes, ma'am. You better let him know." She said that he doesn't help her be the best version of herself. He doesn't see her. He's just not her person. And she apologized and walked off. She went upstairs and her sisters came in. She asked them if they felt like she just made the biggest mistake of her life. And Dina asked her, "What does your gut say?" And Fancy said, "It's telling me that I'm done making decisions for my life that look right but don't feel right." She always pushed forward and put everybody else first. She said that all of them have built lives that fulfilled them, even her mom. Her mom had found her joy again, and being with Richard till death do them part was not it. So the next day, they're getting ready for the wedding, and Fancy surprised Belle because she still made her dress. Fancy looked over at the dresser and saw the Christmas ornament that Jalen bought her, and she told her sisters that she'll be right back. So she rushed over to the marketplace to find Jalen. She repeated back to Jalen something he said to her, which was, "The right person reminds you that your needs, dreams, and well-being are just as important as theirs." He was like, "But what about the proposal?" She said, "Well, you walked out before I told him no." And he was shocked but relieved. She said she can be herself with Jalen, and that's the life she wants. They kissed, and baby, some boy gonna holler out, "Mr. Jalen, you got a girlfriend?" So the crowd starts cheering, and then they rushed back to the house for the wedding. Everybody looked nice. They took pics. Miss E even saw her husband there again, supporting them. And that was the end of the movie. And I noticed that when the dad said that he's been trying to reach them, that he's been trying to reach Fancy too, I think Jalen was the dad's way of trying to reach Fancy to let her know that you deserve everything in your heart. You deserve your heart's desires, and that this man, everything that you say you want, he's saying it now. He is living what you're saying that you want, and that was his way of reaching Fancy. I thought it was cute. Get down in the comments and let me know what you think, and I'll talk to y'all later.